You're not here by coincidence. Something within you has brought you to this moment, to this very video, and by the time you reach the end, you'll begin to understand why. Maybe you've been feeling overwhelmed lately, as if your life is spinning, out of control, full of uncertainty and challenges that seem senseless. But what if I told you that all of this might actually be the clearest sign that you're on the verge of entering the most powerful, beautiful, and meaningful phase of your life? What many don't realize is that the universe speaks softly before. It speaks loudly. It sends signs, gentle nudges, and subtle messages before any major change arrives. The real misfortune is that most people don't recognize these signals for what they truly are. They see them as setbacks, bad luck, or random chaos, and give up just before everything begins to shift. But not you. You're here, and that already says you're paying attention. Today, I'll walk you through 7 key signs that suggest your life is about to change in a deeply transformative way. And if even 3 of these resonate with you, get ready, because your reality is already evolving. Let's begin with the first sign. You start questioning everything you once believed. If you've recently found yourself reflecting on your beliefs, values, goals, or even your sense of purpose, it's no coincidence. Something inside you is already shifting. This change may not yet be visible, but it's real. It's as if the mental structures you used to depend on are beginning to dissolve. And yes, that can feel unsettling. But that discomfort has meaning. It's a signal that you're awakening to a new version of yourself. The universe is encouraging you to reconsider everything you've taken for granted. Your reality, your relationships, your path. This isn't a crisis. It's an awakening. It's life urging you to let go of old illusions so you can make room for something greater. This shift in awareness is essential to your growth. It means your mind is opening up to new perspectives, ready to explore ideas that better align with your true self. Questions like, who am I really? What do I actually want? Am I living in alignment with what matters most to me? These aren't just abstract thoughts, they're gateways. Once you step through, everything begins to change. Suddenly, things that once made sense no longer do. The familiar becomes unclear, but this isn't losing your way, it's finding it. That sense of confusion is the universe clearing space for the real you to emerge. It's the shedding of old roles and expectations, a spiritual reset. Through this process, the false layers begin to fall away. Outdated identities, masks, and self-deceptions dissolve. What's left is something raw, real, and honest. And even though the process feels chaotic, it's actually creative. You are being reformed, stronger, clearer, more in touch with the truth of who you are. This kind of inner questioning isn't a distraction, it's the start of the real journey. You're not falling apart, you're falling into place. You may also notice that your habits, relationships, and routines start to change. People who no longer match your energy gradually fall away. Comfort zones that once felt safe may now feel restrictive. That's because you're no longer a match for those old patterns. Think of this as an internal cleansing, a natural filtering that allows only what supports your growth to remain. This means letting go of comfort, of familiar pain, and of the illusion that you're in control. It's tough because those things once felt like part of your identity, but they were just tools, useful only for a past version of you. And what comes next? That's where the transformation becomes visible. After this internal clearing, a new version of you begins to rise, more aware, more grounded, more connected to your deeper purpose. You may start to sense it, a mix of nervousness and anticipation, like something big is coming. That feeling, that's not random. That's your intuition, your inner guidance system, telling you that you're moving beyond limitations you once believed were permanent. as those inner walls crumble, something new begins to grow. New dreams, new direction, new energy. It's like clearing out an old garden so new life can flourish. And here's where the real magic starts. Answers begin to arrive, but not always how you expect. They might show up in a chance meeting, an unexpected conversation, or a book that lands in your hands at just the right time. These moments might seem random, but they're not. They carry messages meant just for you. Even if everything isn't clear yet, you'll feel a sense of alignment, a quiet assurance that you're on the right path. Because the act of asking these deep questions is itself a form of transformation. This isn't weakness. It's the beginning of wisdom, the kind that emerges when you stop performing and start listening. Listening to your own voice, your inner truth, and to the quiet guidance of the universe. As you continue this process, you'll see your external world slowly shift in response to your internal changes. That's the power of alignment. The world around you transforms not because it changed, but because you did. Your perspective is sharper. Your energy is different. You've reclaimed your sense of direction. So don't be afraid of the questions. Welcome them. Let uncertainty be your guide. Let the discomfort remind you that you're evolving. Because every meaningful transformation begins this way, through confusion, doubt, and a sense of unraveling. But what's really happening? You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. And once you fully surrender to this journey, you'll start to see the signs the universe has been offering all along. They were never missing. You just weren't ready. Until now. The second sign, you feel an increasing disconnect from your past. This is one of the clearest signs that you're on the edge of a new chapter. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts subtly, quietly, deep inside. You may not notice it at first, but gradually the things that once excited or energized you begin to lose their grip. Maybe you've realized that old hobbies, familiar conversations, or even daily routines no longer feel meaningful. It's like you're experiencing the same world, but through new eyes. The people you once felt bonded with, the places that once felt comforting, they now seem distant, unfamiliar. The emotions you used to associate with these experiences begin to fade, and in their place, there's a sense of quiet detachment. This shift isn't random. It's not a mood that will pass. It's something deeper and more lasting. It's your inner self gently pointing you towards something new. It's telling you that you've outgrown certain situations, relationships, or versions of yourself. Your perception is evolving, and with that evolution comes a change in your goals, your values, and your connections. The people, roles, and beliefs that once defined you begin to feel outdated, like echoes of a past you no longer belong to. And while that can be confusing, because you may not know exactly where you're going, you're sure of one thing: you can't go back. You can't pretend the old life fits your new awareness. It just doesn't. Your routines, your job, your social groups, even your internal thoughts start to unravel. And yes, that unraveling can be unsettling. It can feel like loss. But what it truly is growth. But at the same time, it's one of the clearest indicators of inner growth. It's your deeper self making space, letting go of outdated layers so that something more authentic can rise to the surface. Releasing the familiar is rarely simple. There's a quiet sense of loss when you let go of aspects of your identity that once seemed foundational. Still, this sense of detachment isn't meant to harm you. It's a form of preparation. It's clearing space for what's ahead. Picture it like a forest opening up after a storm, ready to welcome new growth. Even if you can't see what's coming, it's already developing beneath the surface. Losing interest in your past isn't random. It's a meaningful sign from the universe, a message that even without complete understanding, change is already underway. This isn't about discarding your entire history. It's about releasing the aspects that have served their role. It's letting go of attachments that no longer support who you're becoming. You're being called to step away from the roles, habits, and identities that no longer reflect your current self. You're being invited into a phase that honors who you're evolving into, not who you used to be. This shift may not always seem logical. It might feel uncertain, even disorienting. But within that space lies opportunity, an opening for growth, renewal, and a more complete version of yourself. The disconnection is only the beginning. It leads to deeper internal changes. You start to notice that your thoughts are shifting, especially those limiting ideas you never questioned before. The version of you that once followed the crowd, that lived by external standards, begins to fall away. You start to look within, realizing the answers aren't always found outside. Your old mental frameworks start to dissolve, not destructively, but in a way that frees you. In this transitional space, you may struggle to define yourself. Yet what becomes obvious is this: you're no longer who you were. You're growing, you're expanding, and the old version of yourself doesn't fit anymore. There's a strong inner pull to reinvent yourself, to become someone more honest, more fearless, more true to your essence. You may not have the full picture yet, but you can feel this change taking root. As this inner shift deepens, fear may show up, fear of letting go, fear of leaving behind what's familiar, fear of stepping into the unknown. But alongside that fear comes a profound freedom. There's power in no longer needing to fit a version of yourself that's outdated. There's strength in releasing what no longer aligns with your direction. That sense of emptiness you might feel, it's not emptiness at all. It's untapped potential. It's a space for new beginnings. It's a signal that something more aligned with your truth is getting ready to emerge. Yes, this process can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the threshold to clarity, and clarity in time does come. You begin to turn inward for direction. You rely less on external validation and more on your intuition, your inner voice, your deeper wisdom. The noise around you fades, and a steadier, quieter sense of self begins to guide you. That inner voice becomes your reference point. It becomes your truth. You stop trying to recreate the past. You stop holding on to what's fading. Instead, you welcome what's possible. You give yourself permission to evolve. Each day, you move closer to a more honest version of yourself, not one shaped by fear or pressure, but one rooted in authenticity. So if you find yourself growing distant from your old ways, if your former life no longer feels like home, know this: it's not an ending. It's the start of something far more real. It's your soul leading you toward what you're meant to become. Disconnection isn't a failure. It's the quiet, significant beginning of your transformation. The real path is just starting to unfold. Third sign, you begin questioning what you once thought mattered. Have you noticed that what once seemed vital no longer holds the same value? It's like your perspective has shifted, allowing you to see life from a new angle. Concerns that used to weigh heavily on you lose their hold. Goals rooted in status, material success, or social approval begin to feel less meaningful. In their place, a deeper sense of purpose begins to rise. You start reassessing what truly matters. Your work, your income, your achievements, while not irrelevant, start to seem like only small pieces of a bigger picture, a picture that's finally coming into focus. You realize that real fulfillment doesn't come from living up to societal standards, but from aligning your life with what genuinely resonates within you. It's as though a layer has been lifted, revealing something more essential underneath. This process of inner questioning isn't always comfortable. It can bring uncertainty and make you feel unsettled. But that space, where old priorities fade and new ones haven't yet solidified, is where genuine growth begins. It's where deeper insights emerge, ones that are no longer borrowed from others, but formed from within. Life starts to show you that joy and purpose are found not in accumulation, but in meaningful experiences and nourishing connections. This questioning may even push you to reevaluate your entire sense of direction. Why are you here? What do you genuinely want to experience? The answers may take time, but the very act of asking shows that you're opening up to something new. What once felt necessary starts to lose its pull. You find yourself interested in different things, drawn to new ideas and perspectives. This shift is a strong sign that you're ready for a major transformation. The universe is leading you toward something more genuine, your true path. And though it might feel disorienting, this is the threshold to a more intentional, more conscious life. Often, this change in priorities happens gradually, but once it begins, it becomes impossible to ignore. You realize that the sources of your former security now feel empty. You no longer feel the urge to meet conventional expectations of success. It's as though something within you has shifted, drawing you toward a more sincere way of living, one driven by personal truth instead of public approval. This isn't simply about letting go of the old. It's about allowing the new to enter. Passions that once faded may now return. You might find yourself revisiting forgotten interests or discovering completely new ones. You no longer feel obligated to follow someone else's idea of success. Instead, you begin crafting your own definition, based on what genuinely matters to you. This reevaluation might bring a sense of distance. You may feel disconnected from former friends or social environments. That's a natural part of this shift. You're stepping away from outside pressures in order to find your own truth. And though it can feel isolating at first, that space is where deeper self-awareness grows. Eventually, you start attracting people who align with your new perspective, people who understand where you're headed and share your evolving values. It's like your life resets. The things that no longer serve you begin to fade, and in their place, a new energy takes root, one that connects you to your true purpose. This process of reevaluation isn't a crisis, it's a turning point. An awakening, one that prepares you for a life more in tune with who you truly are and what you're meant to become. And while the journey toward that realization might feel unclear at first, you'll eventually recognize that it's exactly what you needed to grow into your best self. Fourth sign, you feel more in tune with your intuition than ever before. This is a powerful experience that often comes just before a major shift in your life. It feels like a new layer of clarity emerges inside you. Suddenly, life starts to make more sense. Each moment feels more meaningful, and your decisions feel more natural. What once felt confusing now becomes obvious. You're no longer caught in the noise of overthinking. Something deeper begins to guide you, showing you which way to go. Intuition is that internal voice or gut feeling that nudges you, even when you don't have all the facts. It's a sense of alignment with your inner truth, even if you can't explain it logically. The key is learning to trust that voice. As you do, you'll find that decision-making becomes simpler because you're acting from a place that's grounded in who you really are. This connection with intuition doesn't usually happen all at once. It often starts subtly, with a strong feeling that leads you in a new direction or a calm sense of reassurance in a difficult moment. At first, it might be easy to overlook, especially when daily distractions are loud. But when you give it space, that inner voice becomes clearer and more consistent. Intuition shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's a physical sensation, other times it's a thought that comes out of nowhere or a quiet certainty about a situation. As you become more attuned to it, you start to notice that your choices are less driven by logic alone and more by a deeper sense of knowing. You may not always understand why something feels right or wrong, but that clarity signals a deeper transformation. already taking place. As you keep strengthening this connection, you'll begin to see that what once felt random or confusing now forms a meaningful pattern. Life starts to move more smoothly, almost as if you're exactly where you're supposed to be, doing what you're meant to do. You'll feel less need to overanalyze everything because you trust the guidance coming from within. This growing awareness also makes you more perceptive. You begin to pick up on subtleties, what's not said, the energy people bring, the emotional undercurrents in different situations. You're more in tune with what's really happening around you. What's most powerful about this shift is the peace it brings. Even if the future is uncertain and not all the answers are clear, that strong sense of alignment keeps you grounded. Fear and doubt lose their grip because your decisions now come from a place of confidence in both yourself and the world around you. This marks the beginning of a phase focused on deeper understanding and self-empowerment. As you continue to listen to your inner voice, your choices begin to reflect your true nature. Life feels more harmonious because you're moving in sync with your authentic rhythm. You also feel a strong pull toward growth. As this new phase unfolds, your mind starts to open wider than before. You're no longer satisfied with old routines or former versions of yourself. A deep desire to evolve starts to rise within you. You want more than just to get by. You want to improve, to challenge yourself, and to step into your full potential. This internal motivation begins to influence how you think and act. You're drawn to learning, whether through books, new experiences, or meaningful conversations. You're eager to understand yourself better, to gain new insights, and to uncover what's been hidden within. This curiosity isn't just mental, it's a deep desire to become whole, to live in a way that reflects your values and sense of purpose. As you open up to growth, you also become more willing to release old, limiting beliefs and make space for fresh ideas that move you forward. This path of self-development becomes more than a preference. It turns into a necessity. It starts showing up in every area of your life. What once felt like a clear and stable direction may now feel limiting. You begin to question your current path and look for new, more fulfilling ways to live. You're ready to begin a journey that not only changes your external reality, but reshapes who you are inside. You start asking deeper questions. Who am I? What am I here to do? What do I truly want from life? These questions aren't random. They're a sign that you're mentally and emotionally prepared to break free from old limits and embrace a more expansive way of being. You're not just looking for answers. You're seeking a complete transformation, one that elevates your awareness and makes the ordinary feel meaningful again. At the same time, you feel the need to heal. It's not just about gaining knowledge, it's also about emotional and spiritual growth. You start addressing old wounds, outdated beliefs and thought patterns that no longer serve you. You're ready to release them because you understand that true growth requires letting go of the past. Though this process can be difficult, it's also one of the most fulfilling parts of your journey toward authenticity. Your focus shifts toward what genuinely matters: growth, connection, and integrity. These take priority over surface-level concerns that used to dominate your thoughts. You begin seeking out people who are on similar journeys, individuals who push you to grow, challenge your thinking, and inspire you to expand your worldview. You're no longer interested in approval or outdated ideas. You're looking for truth, a life that reflects who you really are. Sign number 6. You feel a strong need to move away from toxic relationships and environments that no longer match your energy. At this stage in your life, you begin to clearly see that certain people or situations that once felt familiar now feel completely out of place. The things you once put up with, the behaviors you excused, the situations you considered normal, now feel heavy, draining, or simply out of step with who you're becoming. You're not just moving away from these patterns, you're evolving beyond them. What once felt familiar and even comforting no longer aligns with your changing values, your sense of purpose, or your need for inner peace. You're going through a deep shift, and with that transformation comes the undeniable realization that certain parts of your life are holding you back. It's like waking up and seeing clearly for the first time, recognizing that some relationships and habits weren't helping you grow, but were only keeping you stagnant. Now, there's a new clarity within you, a quiet strength that tells you it's time to step away from what depletes your energy or keeps you in emotional chaos. It no longer matters how long you've known someone or how much you've invested. If a relationship or environment no longer supports your growth, it's time to let it go. You've reached a point where staying in a situation that doesn't feel right is more uncomfortable than stepping into the unknown. This need to create distance from toxic dynamics isn't about rejection or bitterness, it's about self-respect. Choosing peace, seeking clarity, and protecting your emotional energy isn't selfish, it's essential. You're learning that becoming your best self requires letting go of anything that dims your light. You can't create a future that reflects who you are now if you're still tied to relationships that reflect who you used to be. This process of release is an act of personal liberation. You're beginning to understand that you deserve to be around people who inspire you, challenge you in healthy ways, and genuinely accept you as you are. You're not searching for perfect people. You're seeking authenticity, emotional honesty, and mutual respect. Letting go may be difficult. After all, endings are rarely easy, but it's also one of the most affirming things you can do. It signals that your well-being, your time, your energy, all of it matters. You're no longer willing to trade your peace for familiarity or fear. And as you begin to release what no longer fits, something important happens. New connections and experiences begin to show up, ones that align with who you truly are. These relationships feel lighter, more open, and filled with potential. You find yourself surrounded by people who understand your journey, support your goals, and encourage you to grow. These connections don't drain you, they energize and uplift you. You begin to rebuild, not from obligation, but from authenticity. This next chapter is about creating space for meaningful relationships that truly resonate. You no longer settle for surface-level interactions. You begin to welcome friendships, partnerships, and family connections that see you, hear you, and value you. This is a strong signal that you're preparing for a new and more aligned chapter of life, one where your true self is finally free to grow, love, and live without restriction. It's more than a personal shift, it's a rebirth. Sign number 7. You begin to feel a growing disconnection from everything that no longer serves your growth. As you transition into this next phase, you'll likely notice that what once felt essential or meaningful now holds less power over you. It's as though something deep within you has changed. Your mindset is shifting, your energy is evolving. The people, activities, and places that once seemed central to your identity start to feel distant or irrelevant. That doesn't mean your past was wrong. It simply means you're moving forward. You're letting go of old layers that no longer match who you are now. As you step into a more aligned version of yourself, parts of your former life will naturally fall away. This sense of detachment can be confusing. You may feel sadness or nostalgia. You might ask yourself, why doesn't this excite me anymore? Or why do I feel distant from those I once cared about? But underneath these questions, there's often a quiet sense of relief, of lightness. It's like breathing fresh air after being confined for too long. You may not fully understand what's changing, but deep down, you know it's necessary. You start noticing how certain routines, habits, or even ways of thinking no longer fit. Things that used to worry you now seem less urgent. Fears that once controlled you start to loosen their grip. Yes, there may be a sense of loss, but there's also a growing peace. Letting go makes space for something new. And what's arriving isn't just a shift in your environment, it's a deeper connection to who you really are. This transformation doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual, quiet unfolding. You may suddenly realize you no longer care about something that once defined you, or you may notice that certain conversations leave you feeling empty instead of enriched. This isn't betrayal. It's not about rejecting your past or the people in it. It's about honoring your growth and accepting that evolution often requires release. You're developing a clearer sense of what truly matters. Your internal compass is adjusting, and you understand now that to move forward, you must let go of what no longer nourishes your spirit, whether it's a relationship, a job, a belief, or simply a former version of yourself. This stage of your journey is sacred. It's not always easy, but it is essential. The universe has its own way of guiding you, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly, but always with purpose. If these words resonate with you, it's not by chance. Something within you is awakening. A deeper knowing is beginning to rise. And if you listen to it, if you trust that inner voice, you're on the edge of a new chapter, one where life starts to make more sense. So what happens when you take control of your path with this awareness? What changes when you stop holding onto the past and begin to embrace what's ahead? A powerful shift begins, one that redefines how you experience life. You're not just changing your circumstances, you're expanding your awareness. You're aligning with a reality built on peace, clarity, and authenticity. This is just the beginning. Stay curious, stay open, because this journey is more than growth. It's transformation. You're not walking it alone. If you feel called to continue your personal evolution, keep exploring with us. There's so much more to discover. We'll meet again soon, and together we'll keep expanding into the truth of who we are.